They didn't fire at our cities, they fired at our past. 3 alien spears of light punched into the Giza Plateau, and the pyramids woke up. My name's Dr. Naila Rahman, geophysicist, Cairo University, adjunct to UNESCO's Antiquities Response. On the morning the sky broke, I was in a trailer lab behind the Sphinx arguing with a seismometer that insisted the bedrock under Khufu hummed like a tuning fork. Then the fleet arrived, sleek obsidian wedges bleeding auroras as they knifed through Egyptian blue, air raid sirens, prayer calls tangling with jet engines, but their weapons ignored the city, every strike drilled neatly into limestone like a key returning to a lock. Why the hell aren't they hitting the bases? Captain Omar Farouk, Air Defense Liaison, all jawline and dust, leaned over my scope as tremors rippled beneath us. "They're not here for us," I said. "They're here for what's under us." Another lance of light. The Great Pyramid's casing stones, long since stolen or eroded, flashed along hidden seams. For a heartbeat, the monument glowed as if the sun had chosen to live inside it. Then, silence. A breath held by the desert. Comms exploded in Arabic, English, panic. The fleet scattered into a holding ring above Cairo. Drones poured down like black rain, beetle-bodied, 6-legged, moving with the unsettling grace of something that never learned gravity was real. They didn't shoot. They formed a perimeter around the pyramids, their heads tilted as if listening for a buried song. "UN channels say global impact is limited," Omar reported, voice thin in the heat. "Every major strike site is archaeological, Teotihuacan, Xi'an, Göbekli Tepe. But the largest concentration is here, with good reason." I tapped the seismograph. "There's an energy signature under Khufu no one's ever explained. Today it's spiking, it's reacting." "To them?" Omar asked. "Or to us noticing?" I grabbed my field pack. "I need ground-penetrating radar in the king's chamber. If something's waking up, we have to know what." A shadow crossed the trailer, not from the fleet, closer. A figure in a burnous stood just outside the flap, sand caked to old leather boots. He moved like someone trying very hard to remember how to be human. "Dr. Rahman," he said, accent ancient and everywhere at once. "Do not open the chamber." Omar's hand went to his sidearm. "Who are you, and how did you get past the perimeter?" The man smiled without warmth. Up close, his eyes were the color of desert glass. They held a depth that made my scalp crawl. "We built your perimeter. We built all of them." I felt the floor of history tilt. "We?" He pulled back the hood. Not a mask, not a trick. Under sunburnt skin, faint traceries of metallic filigree pulsed in time with the tremors, like circuitry tattooed by the planet itself. "Name's Keeper," he said. "Once I was a slave in this sand. Once we forged a sun beneath your feet. The ones above have come to free their buried kin." He looked past me toward Khufu, and for the first time his voice softened. "And to finish what they started." The Sphinx trembled. Deep below, something knocked. 3 slow, deliberate beats, like a giant asking to be remembered. The sound came again, deeper, slower, a pulse that rattled our bones. "Seismic resonance," Omar whispered. I checked the readout. "No, it's communication." The tremor pattern wasn't random. It matched rhythmic intervals, base 12. Too precise for tectonic activity. "Kepper," I said slowly, "you said you built a sun beneath our feet. What is it?" He looked at me, those desert glass eyes reflecting the flicker of the alien ships above. "Power," he murmured. "A heart of the star, chained and buried. We made it for them, when humans still painted gods on stone because they couldn't bear to look at what truly ruled them." He knelt, pressing his palm into the sand. The ground answered. Lines of faint blue light crawled outward from his touch, snaking toward the Great Pyramid like veins feeding a sleeping giant. "You shouldn't have come back," Omar growled, raising his rifle. Kepper didn't even flinch. "You think bullets will harm what made your sun rise?" A new light flared above us. One of the alien ships descending, smooth and silent. its hull alive with golden runes. A ramp unfolded, and 3 figures emerged, tall, silver-skinned, faces hidden behind veined masks of glass and bone. The air temperature spiked 20 degrees. My breath caught as their voices echoed directly inside my skull. "Kepper of the Bound Ones, you survived and you betrayed us," he replied. I stumbled backward, clutching my ears, but Omar held his ground, rifle aimed square at the nearest being's chest. "You're trespassing on sovereign territory," he barked. "Identify yourself." The alien turned its head slowly, studying him as if examining an insect that dared to speak. Human language. Evolved, crude from our own. You are their echoes. Keeper's hand tightened into a fist. No, they are their liberators. A ripple of energy blasted outward. The drones around the pyramid stirred, everyone turning in perfect unison toward us. "Move!" Omar shoved me toward the dunes. A bolt of molten light scorched the sand where we'd stood. We dove behind a transport truck as Kepper raised his hand, and the air screamed. The sand beneath the alien soldiers erupted upward, twisting into glass shards that hung mid-air like frozen lightning. "Still you defy the Makers?" the lead alien thundered. "Still I remember what you made us do," Kepper spat. The shards launched, shredding 2 drones and forcing the aliens back toward their ship. Omar cursed. "You brought a damn war to my desert." Kepper turned to us, eyes blazing now like tiny suns. "The war was buried here long before your kind learned fire." Then the Great Pyramid itself answered. A shockwave blasted across the plateau, flinging vehicles like toys. The top third of Khufu's peak split open, revealing a vertical shaft of burning gold light that tore through the clouds, straight into orbit. The alien fleet reeled. Their formation shattered as the light expanded, forming a massive geometric aura in the sky, an energy lattice older than civilization. And in its center, something moved. A silhouette, immense and angular, rising from beneath the sands. A structure or machine that had slept for millennia. Kepper turned to me, voice shaking for the first time. "The Sunheart is waking." Omar pulled me up by the arm. "Whatever that is, it's not friendly. It's not anything we can stop," Kepper said quietly. "Not yet." I looked toward the horizon. Cairo burned in reflection of the golden storm. Above it all, the Great Pyramid glowed like the eye of a resurrected god. The energy column tore through the sky like a golden spear, piercing the clouds and vanishing into orbit. Every drone froze mid-air, their optics flickering as if something older and greater had seized control of their minds. Our comms were fried. The static wasn't random. It whispered in patterns. Not white noise, but language. Omar slammed his headset down. "Every frequency's dead." "No," I murmured. "It's speaking." I adjusted my analyzer. Amid the chaos, a single repeating waveform pulsed through the interference, steady, ancient, a voice encoded in seismic harmonics. "It's coming from under the pyramid," I said, "and it's broadcasting everywhere." Keeper watched the beam with a haunted calm. It remembers the chains. It remembers who locked it here. The light dimmed slightly, and from deep beneath the sands came a low rumble, the kind that wasn't heard so much as felt. A quake rolled through Giza, splitting the ground like paper. The Sphinx cracked at the neck, revealing a stairway descending into fire-lit darkness. I grabbed my gear instinctively. "You're not thinking of going down there?" Omar said, incredulous. "Of course I am. Whatever that thing is, it's the reason they came." He stared at me like I'd lost my mind, then exhaled sharply. "Fine. But you're not going alone." Keeper tilted his head. "You will need me." "The vaults below remember my kind," Omar raised an eyebrow. "And how do we know you won't sell us out to your old friends?" Kepper's expression hardened. "They stopped being my friends when they began feeding us to the Sunheart to keep it alive." He started toward the glowing stairway before either of us could respond. Against every sane instinct, we followed. The passage beneath the Sphinx felt like stepping into the lungs of the earth. Hot, metallic air pulsing with a heartbeat we could almost sink to. The walls were not carved stone, but fused glass, veins of light crawling through them like molten gold. Hieroglyphs rearranged themselves as we passed, shifting from Egyptian to something far older. "This isn't human architecture," I whispered. "It's slave architecture," Keeper corrected. "We built beauty because they demanded it, even for our prisons." Halfway down, we reached a massive gate sealed by a ring of obsidian teeth that glimmered with static. At its center, a symbol pulsed, an eye made of intersecting triangles, the same sigil now burning in the clouds above. I pulled out my scanner, but it went dead the moment I approached. "Energy fields destabilizing every instrument," I said. "Whatever's powering this, it's alive." "Not alive," Kipper said softly. "Awake." The teeth began to retract, one by one. The gate was opening itself. Omar raised his rifle. "Why is it doing that?" "Because," Kepper said grimly, "it senses my blood." Beyond the gate stretched a chamber so vast it seemed to swallow the concept of walls. Suspended in the center was a sphere of light the size of a cathedral, rotating slowly, a miniature sun caged in a web of alien machinery. The air rippled with its power. Every breath tasted like ozone and ancient dust. Omar lowered his weapon, awestruck. "You weren't lying." Kepper didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the sphere, and the faint outlines of bodies trapped within the light. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Humanoid shapes, suspended as if frozen mid-scream. I stepped closer, heart hammering. "Dear God, are those—" "Yes," Kepper whispered. "My people. The first builders. Their energy became the pyramid's heart. The sun heart feeds on us still." The sphere flared. My ears filled with a chorus of overlapping voices, pleading, raging, remembering. The sound of eternity condensed into pain. Kepper fell to one knee, clutching his head. "It knows I'm here." The light intensified, bathing the chamber in molten gold. Then, in the middle of the storm, a single, unmistakably human voice broke through the din. "Help us." "We are awake." The sun heart's light reached out, tendrils of radiance curling toward me like fingers. Omar shouted something, but it was already too late. The light touched my chest, and the world vanished in fire. Everything dissolved into brilliance. It wasn't heat, it was memory. I saw things that no human eye had ever witnessed, not in dreams, not in history. A world before deserts, lush, blue, alive with twin suns. Cities made of crystal that grew from the ground like coral, beings of light walking among rivers of molten gold, and above them, ships, the same design as those now circling Earth, but brighter, purer, unfallen. "We were builders," whispered 1,000 voices in my mind. "We made the fires of stars into tools until they used us to make chains." I saw their rebellion, the uprising that tore their civilization apart. The enslaved cast down into primitive worlds, tasked with hiding their master's greatest weapon, a power core forged from stellar plasma, the sun heart. The pyramids were never tombs. They were containment vaults. The pharaohs found us, the voices murmured. They thought us gods. We became their slaves again. Together we built the prisons deeper, until the sun heart slept beneath your world. The vision shattered into pain. I gasped awake on the floor of the chamber, Omar shaking me violently. "Naila! Talk to me." "You stopped breathing." I coughed, chest burning, my skin faintly glowing where the light had touched me. Kepper knelt nearby, watching warily. "It marked her," he said. "She carries its code now." Omar frowned. "Code? What code?" Kepper's metallic veins pulsed. "A map. The sun heart recognizes her. It chose her as an anchor. It's linking to the human biosphere." Before I could protest, the ground quaked again. Harder this time. The entire chamber trembled as cracks snaked across the glowing walls. From above came the thunder of war. Omar's radio sputtered to life with static and screams. "Command to Delta, Cairo's under heavy fire. Repeat, the fleet's targeting..." Static. Massive strike, pull out, pull... The signal cut off in a burst of white noise. Omar's jaw tightened. They're hitting the city. Kepper stood, eyes flaring. They want to destabilize the containment field. If the sun heart ruptures, it will ignite the mantle. Your planet will burn from the inside out. My mind raced. Can we shut it down? He shook his head. Not anymore. It's aware, alive through you. You must learn to speak to it before they destroy us all. Omar's hand trembled on his rifle. And how exactly does she speak to a star? Kepper turned to me. Through memory. It responds to connection, not command. Show it what humanity is, not what its creators were. We ascended the winding passage back toward the surface. Each step closer to daylight was another earthquake's worth of shaking. Dust poured from the ceiling. Halfway up, Omar froze. Contacts. Through the cracked stone corridor, figures approached, human silhouettes moving with inhuman precision. Their eyes glowed faint gold beneath the torchlight. Not possible, I whispered. Keeper's face fell. The sun heart's resonance has awakened its guardians. The first of them stepped forward, a man in ancient linen, skin desiccated like a mummy's, but his movements fluid, alive. His voice was both whisper and thunder. The sun sleeps no longer. All must return to the light. They raised their hands. Energy pulsed between their palms, the same golden radiance as the sun heart. Omar fired first. Plasma rounds slammed into their chests. Nothing. The energy absorbed it like raindrops into sand. "Run!" Kepper shouted. We sprinted upward as the Guardians gave chase, hurling bolts of starfire that melted stone. One blast missed me by inches, turning the wall to liquid glass. We burst out into blinding daylight. The sky was chaos, alien ships battling human fighters over Cairo. The air smelled of ozone and burning jet fuel. The Great Pyramid now blazed like a beacon, the top completely open, a column of pure energy stretching into orbit, and hovering at its apex, a massive alien dreadnought, its hull forming a perfect inverted pyramid, rotating slowly as it absorbed the beam. "They're feeding on it," Omar breathed. Kepper's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're trying to reclaim the sun heart." I looked at my glowing hands. "Then we can't let them." The dreadnought hung over Giza like an eclipse made of metal. Its shadow stretched across the desert, swallowing the city's smoke and sunlight in one immense, silent heartbeat. Omar stared upward. "That thing's bigger than any carrier we've got." Kepper's gaze hardened. "It's not a ship. It's a conduit. They're drawing power directly from the sun heart all around us." Drones shifted formation, spiraling up the energy column like metallic moths drawn to flame. Each vanished into the dreadnought's hull, feeding its glow until it pulsed like a newborn sun. The sand at our feet began to rise, swirling upward in glowing filaments. My hands flared brighter in response. The same frequency, the same rhythm. Omar saw it too. "Nyla, you're resonating with it." I felt it deep in my ribs, a hum beneath my pulse. "It's trying to speak again." Kepper stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Then answer it before it mistakes you for its enemy." I closed my eyes. The world fell away, replaced by the same luminous void I'd seen before. Only this time I wasn't alone. Figures of light surrounded me, not alien, not human, something between. They flickered in and out of existence, whispering fragments in 1,000 overlapping languages. Protect, awaken. Choose. Choose what? I asked aloud. The light condensed, forming an image, Earth seen from above, wrapped in a faint golden lattice of energy lines connecting every ancient monument across the globe. The pyramids of Giza, Teotihuacan, Xi'an, all pulsing in sync. The realization hit like lightning. It's a planetary network. Back in reality, Omar's voice echoed faintly through the haze. "Nyla, what's happening?" I opened my eyes. They're all connected, every major site. The pyramids aren't tombs or temples, they're nodes. If I can interface with one, we can activate the grid. Activate it to do what? To cut them off. Kepper's expression darkened. If you misalign the harmonics, you could destabilize the sun heart and vaporize half the planet. Omar gritted his teeth. So basically, save the world or destroy it trying. I smiled grimly. That's been humanity's brand for 5,000 years. We raced toward the base of the Great Pyramid. The entrance was guarded by dozens of drones, sleek, insectoid machines with wings that hummed like hornets. Omar crouched behind a toppled truck, scanning the perimeter. Too many for a straight push. Kepper lifted his hand. Then we won't push. The sand around him rippled, rising into a swirling storm. It coalesced into humanoid forms, phantoms sculpted from desert dust, their eyes glowing with the same faint blue as his. My people called them shades, he said. Remnants of the first builders. Bound to the soil that buried us, the shades surged forward, colliding with the drones in a maelstrom of grit and lightning. We ran through the chaos, diving into the entrance tunnel as plasma bolts scorched the air behind us. Inside, the vibrations were worse. The pyramid groaned like a living thing. The air shimmered with heat. The inner chamber had changed completely. The stone walls now glowed with geometric lines of light converging on a central crystal obelisk. That's the control relay, Kepper said. It's what links this site to the others. I reached toward it. My fingertips flared, matching its pulse perfectly. The obelisk answered. A flood of data rushed through me, not in words but in visions, temples, ley lines, ancient cities, each a circuit in a design older than recorded time. I felt it, humanity's imprint, the years of worship, sacrifice, curiosity, rebellion. The sun heart wasn't just alien anymore, it had absorbed us. Our history, our defiance, our will to survive. I whispered half to myself, half to it. We're not your prisoners. We're your children. The obelisk blazed in response. Above ground, the Great Pyramid's beam widened, its light splitting into 12 golden arcs racing across the globe, connecting the other ancient monuments. Every site lit up, Teotihuacan, Angkor, Stonehenge, all answering Giza's call. From orbit, the alien fleet faltered. The dreadnought's glow stuttered. Omar's radio sparked back to life, voices shouting over static. Whatever you just did, keep doing it. Their shields are dropping. Keeper looked at me, awe mingling with fear. You've turned their weapon into your signal. I didn't, I said softly. We did. The walls shook again, but this time the rumble wasn't from below. It was coming from above. Omar ran to the entrance, peering out into the blinding sky. They're coming down! The dreadnought's descending. Kepper's eyes glowed bright as fire. Then the gods of the sand have accepted your challenge. The dreadnought descended like a mountain unmoored from heaven. Every plate of its hull rippled with shifting geometry, symbols forming and collapsing faster than my eyes could process. The energy beam from the pyramid bent upward, latching onto the ship's underside like a tether of living fire. The sky went black, not night but shadow. Clouds boiled away. Every radio frequency went silent, replaced by a single steady tone, the same heartbeat I'd felt in the chamber below. Kepper looked skyward. It's aligning the core. They're going to reclaim the sun heart and consume its energy. Omar gritted his teeth. Then we hit it with everything we've got. He grabbed the comms headset from a dead soldier's body, patched into the last active frequency. This is Captain Omar Farouk to any surviving command elements. We are under the shadow of the mothership. Target grid Giza Delta Zero. Fire everything you have left, static. Then, through the distortion, a faint voice, copy that, Delta Zero, all available batteries locking in. For humanity, I looked up, trembling as the first missiles streaked through the sky, trails of white fire against the darkness. The explosions blossomed across the dreadnought's hull and vanished without effect. The blasts bent around it, devoured by the ship's shield like sparks falling into deep water. Omar swore under his breath. Nothing's getting through. It will, I said, placing my hand against the glowing obelisk. If we give it a reason. The sun heart pulsed beneath us, resonating through the structure. I reached deeper, not with my mind, but with everything human in me, fear, anger, memory, love. The network of monuments flared in response. From orbit, beams of golden light shot up from every corner of the planet, joining the one from Giza, weaving a lattice of energy around the dreadnought. "It's working!" Omar shouted, but then the ship changed its tone. A new vibration rattled the desert, low and merciless. Kepper's eyes widened. "They're counter-resonating. They're going to tear the lattice apart above us." The beam twisted violently. The air pressure dropped. Our ears popped and sand began to rise into the air in swirling sheets. Omar stumbled. "It's pulling the oxygen out of the atmosphere," I screamed against the wind. "Kepper, what do we do?" He turned toward me, face lit by the glow of his veins. "The network needs a stabilizer, a mind strong enough to hold the harmonics together. It has to be you, Nayla. The Sunheart chose you for a reason." My throat tightened. "If I link fully, I might not come back." Kepper placed a hand on my shoulder, his voice almost gentle. "The first builders gave their lives to bury this power. Maybe it's time someone gave theirs to set it free." Omar caught my arm. "Don't you dare. There has to be another way." I met his eyes. Dust-streaked, desperate, human. "There isn't." I pressed both palms against the obelisk. The world folded inward. Light swallowed me. I was everywhere at once, above Cairo, inside the pyramids, beneath the ocean where other nodes slept untouched. Every monument's pulse thudded in my chest. "You are not one of them," the Sunheart whispered. "No," I answered. "I'm human, and we finish what we start." I reached upward, through the beam, through the void, into the dreadnought's heart. For a moment I felt its mind, cold, vast, ancient, incapable of mercy. And then I showed it what I'd seen: Earth burning and rebuilding, humans crawling out of mud to reach for the stars, stubborn enough to keep going no matter who tried to chain us. The Sunheart's voice changed, no longer mechanical, but almost proud. "Then burn for them, child of Earth." Every monument flared white. The lattice solidified. The dreadnought's shields cracked like glass. Omar looked up, eyes wide. "She did it." Kepper smiled, equal parts grief and awe. "She's turning the entire planet into a weapon." Above us, the sky ignited. The energy from every node converged on the dreadnought, spearing it through the center. A shock wave tore across the desert, flattening everything in its path. The ship screamed, not with sound, but with pure gravitational distortion, as it began to collapse inward. But just before it imploded, a smaller craft broke free, a spear of black light hurtling toward the pyramid. Kepper's eyes went wide. "Their commander. He's coming for the core himself." The black spear struck the sand 100 meters from the pyramid, carving a smoking crater into the desert. Out of it rose something not quite solid. A figure of liquid metal and light, 8 feet tall, limbs moving like blades in water. The alien commander's armor shimmered between forms, wings, talons, a crown of jagged silver. Its voice thundered in every direction at once. "Kepper of the fallen line, you break the seal, and now you teach them to wield our fire. You invite extinction." Kepper stepped forward through the blowing sand. "You called it creation, but all you ever made was chains, and yet they still serve us." The commander's gaze turned toward me. Its eyes were twin furnaces. "You are the vessel. The Sunheart speaks through you. Release it, and I will spare what's left of this world." I could barely stand, the obelisk's energy coursing through my veins like molten wire. "You already destroyed your world," I said. "You won't take ours." The alien tilted its head. "Then you die as they did." It moved faster than thought. One moment it was 20 paces away. The next, Omar was thrown aside by a pulse of kinetic force, his rifle spinning into the sand. Kepper met the commander head-on. The clash was like thunder made solid. Every impact lit the air with shock waves of golden fire. Kepper's arm split into a blade of raw energy. The alien countered with a strike that shattered stone. They fought not as soldiers, but as memories of gods who had forgotten mercy. I stumbled toward Omar. He was bleeding from a gash on his forehead, but conscious. "You okay?" I gasped. "Been better," he muttered, pushing himself up. "What's the plan?" "Buy them time," I said. I need to sync the Sunheart's frequency to the planetary grid. If it stabilizes, it'll trap the commander here. Omar grabbed his rifle, checked the charge, half a magazine left, and gave a weary grin. Always wanted to piss off a god. He sprinted toward the battle, firing in short bursts. The plasma bolts didn't hurt the alien, but they distracted it. For a second, Kepper found an opening. His blade struck true, slicing through the commander's midsection. Light exploded outward, but instead of falling, the alien simply laughed. "You forgot what we are." The wound closed instantly. Energy coalesced into a spear of black flame which it hurled straight at me. Kepper turned, diving between us. The spear hit him square in the chest. The explosion sent me flying. When the dust settled, Kepper lay crumpled, his chest a ruin of glowing shards. I crawled to him, choking on dust. "Kepper." He managed to smile, faint but peaceful. "It's all right. I was never meant to outlive my son." He reached up, pressing something into my hand, a small crystalline fragment pulsing with blue light. My core. It remembers how to speak to it. Finish what we began. His eyes dimmed, the glow fading from his veins. The sand swallowed him slowly, as if the desert itself refused to let him die forgotten. The alien commander loomed over me, the ground trembling beneath each step. "He was a slave," it hissed. "You are dust, and the light you wield is ours." I stood. My body burned like it was made of plasma. The fragment in my hand pulsed, syncing with my heartbeat. "Maybe it was yours once," I said, raising the shard toward the sky. "But everything you left here became ours." The shard melted into my palm, became part of me. The energy roared through every cell in my body, connecting me to the Sunheart completely. The alien hesitated. "What have you done?" I stopped being an observer. The obelisk's light erupted, engulfing me. My mind expanded until I could see through every monument, every conduit, every network thread connecting Earth's bones to the stars. And for the first time, I didn't just hear the Sunheart. I was it. "Child of dust," it whispered through me. "What do you seek?" "Balance," I said, "and a future that belongs to us." The alien struck, but its blow met the full force of Earth's awakening. The ground split open, releasing a geyser of radiant energy that hurled it backward. The sky above Giza flared white. The Sunheart's lattice reformed, stronger, sharper. It wrapped around the planet like an aurora forged from every prayer ever spoken under the stars. The alien howled, trapped within the pyramid's beam. Its form disintegrated into a storm of black sparks. Omar staggered to my side, shielding his face from the glare. "What the hell are you?" I turned toward him. My eyes reflected the light of a newborn sun. Humanity's memory. The desert trembled one last time. The dreadnought above split apart, dissolving into a billion fragments that rained across the night sky like molten meteors. And from the pyramid's heart, a voice echoed across the planet in every tongue at once. "The children have inherited the fire." The storm lasted 6 minutes and 31 seconds. When it ended, the sky was no longer blue. It shimmered with faint golden threads, like veins of sunlight woven into the atmosphere. All across Earth, the pyramids, from Mexico to Xi'an to Antarctica's buried ice spires, glowed with soft radiance, humming in perfect harmony. The war was over. I stood atop the cracked limestone plateau, barefoot, ash and sand swirling around me. Omar sat nearby, half buried in dust, staring numbly at the glowing horizon. The alien dreadnought was gone, vaporized into a halo of orbiting fragments that burned like a second ring around the planet. He finally spoke. "So, did we just win?" I turned my gaze toward the pyramid. Its peak pulsed gently, the beam now reduced to a steady, breathing glow. "Winning feels quieter than I imagined." He chuckled hoarsely, then winced, clutching his ribs. "I'll take quiet over extinction." The wind carried a low hum, not mechanical, not entirely natural either. I could feel it in my blood, like a heartbeat syncing with the planet's. The sunheart had woven itself into everything, the crust, the sky, even us. Omar looked at me sideways. "You're still glowing, Doc." I exhaled. "It's not just me. The network is integrated now, every living thing connected through resonance. Sounds dangerous, or miraculous," I said softly. "Maybe both." He looked out toward the city. Cairo's skyline was fractured, smoke rising where old towers had fallen. But even there, something had changed. The fires burned clean, golden white instead of red. Streetlights flickered back to life one by one, powered by an energy no generator had ever known. "What happens now?" he asked. I hesitated. "The sunheart isn't just a weapon. It's a seed. It wants to create, to spread. But it needs guidance. If we don't learn to balance it, we burn ourselves up," Omar finished grimly. I nodded. Or worse, wake something else. Hours later, rescue teams from the surviving global coalition finally reached Giza. They came expecting corpses. They found miracles instead. Plants sprouting overnight from scorched soil. Air clean enough to taste the difference. Broken electronics humming back to life, drawing power from nowhere. And at the heart of it all, me standing at the pyramid's base, unable to stop the light that seeped from my veins. They called me the Keeper of Ra. I hated it. Titles were for gods, and I'd met enough of those to know we didn't need more. Omar stayed close through the interrogations and analysis. Scientists came from every continent, each trying to understand what the energy bloom was. Governments wanted to weaponize it. Corporations wanted to sell it. Religious leaders wanted to sanctify it, and somewhere deep beneath the sands, the sunheart pulsed, quiet, watchful, alive. That night, I returned alone to the chamber under the Sphinx. The air was warmer now, almost gentle. Where Kepler had fallen, the sand glimmered with faint blue light. I knelt, pressing my hand into the dust. "You kept your promise," I whispered. "You freed them." The chamber responded, not with words, but with a soft vibration that felt like gratitude. Through the link, I felt echoes of Kepler and the others, the builders who had become the foundation of the sunheart itself. Their consciousness lingered, no longer trapped but integrated. "The fire is yours now," the voice whispered faintly. "Guard it from hunger. Feed it with wonder." I looked up at the glowing walls, at the endless stories carved into the living stone, the record of every age of slavery, defiance, and rebirth. "We'll try," I said, "but you know humans." We never stopped touching the flame. A quiet, amused pulse rippled through the chamber. Then burn wisely, child of dust. When I emerged back into the dawn, Omar was waiting at the base of the pyramid. His uniform was torn, his hands bandaged, but his grin was unmistakably alive. "Couldn't sleep," he said, "too bright out here now." "Get used to it," I said. "The world's running on starlight." He looked at me for a long moment. "You're not going to stay here, are you?" "No," I said. "If this power is awake in every monument, someone has to make sure no one else abuses it. And if others come—" He nodded. "You'll be ready." The sun rose over Cairo, golden, immense, impossibly bright, and for the first time in recorded history, the desert shimmered not with heat, but with the quiet hum of living energy. Cold silence 2 weeks later. Orbit over Earth shimmered with debris, the remains of the alien dreadnought still glowing faintly like embers adrift in the void. Satellite arrays, half shattered, half reborn under new power, transmitted constant readings. The global network was alive again, but its heartbeat no longer came from servers or fission plants. It came from below, from the sunheart, from me. I sat aboard a patched-up transport helicopter crossing the Mediterranean, its engines whispering instead of roaring, powered by the same new energy that pulsed through every circuit on Earth. Omar sat opposite me, dozing, his hand still wrapped in bandages. Below us, Europe glittered strangely in the dawn, entire cities lit by a soft golden luminescence, as if morning had decided to linger forever. Humanity was learning how to bend the light, slowly, cautiously, but learning all the same. A transmission buzzed through the cabin speakers. "Dr. Rahman, we're receiving strange resonance from deep space. Not static, patterns. Repeating," I frowned. "What coordinates?" "Origin, Gliese sector, roughly 100 light-years." The cockpit fell quiet. Omar opened one eye. "That's where their fleet came from, isn't it?" I nodded slowly. They weren't the only ones. The Sunheart was just one node of a greater network, and now that it's awake, he finished for me. The others heard it. Scene shift, the ruins of Giza, midnight. The Great Pyramid no longer glowed constantly. Instead, its peak emitted a rhythmic pulse. 3 long flashes, 3 short, 3 long again, not random, Morse code. It wasn't broadcasting outward anymore. It was responding. In the sandstorm silence, the encoded flashes cast moving shadows across the half-buried machinery of the old alien dreadnought, and deep within that wreckage, something flickered back to life. A single core fragment, black as obsidian, blinked once, syncing perfectly with the pyramid's rhythm. Cut to the observatory, Iceland, a team of astrophysicists huddled around their instruments. "The signal isn't just local," one murmured. "It's echoing across every known relay frequency. Like someone's copying the lattice pattern we saw in Giza." Another turned pale. "Where's it heading?" "Not where," came the answer. "Who?" "It's searching for the others who built the pyramids." On the monitor, faint energy blooms appeared across distant worlds, dots of light igniting across the stars like eyes opening in the dark. Back in the helicopter, Omar rubbed his temples. "Tell me you didn't just start another war." I gave a tired smile. "I might have started a conversation," he frowned. "With who?" "The universe," I said. "And it finally knows we're here." He leaned back, staring out the window at the endless sea. "You really think they'll come again?" "I think they never left," I murmured. "But this time, they'll find a different species waiting." The helicopter banked east toward the rising sun. Through the thin clouds, the light seemed brighter, alive, spilling golden veins across the sea. For the first time, it didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a promise. Epilogue, somewhere beyond the stars. In the cold vacuum between galaxies, a forgotten fleet drifted, vast ships entombed in stasis, their hulls scarred by millennia. Inside one, a crystalline being stirred. Golden light flickered across its eyes as new data filled its mind. Signal received. Origin, Sol system. Node reactivation confirmed. A pause. Then, in a voice like cracking thunder, "The children of dust have touched the fire. Prepare the others." The stars around it shifted as engines older than civilization rumbled awake. Back on Earth, the pyramids pulsed once more, answering in kind. The war was over. The age had just begun.